Hey boaters, it's Thursday night. I'm Jim from Raymarine, and this is Raymarine Live. Welcome back to our all-new season for 2023. I really appreciate you coming out and tuning in tonight. We've got a really cool program for you, lots of new product information, some software update information. So whether you're shopping new Raymarine gear, looking to upgrade what you already have, we got all sorts of good stuff in store for you tonight. Just to get started, since this is the beginning of a new season, let me explain for anybody new in the audience what we do here. So at Raymarine Live, we talk about Raymarine products, Raymarine technology, and the best part of it is it's a conversation. We take your comments and questions live. So whether you're watching on YouTube, on Facebook, or on Twitter, if you have a question along the way, feel free to chat it in through whatever social media platform you're on. I get all the questions up here in my question queue, and I'll pick out a selection of them and answer them live right here on the air. One of my philosophies here at Raymarine Live, too, is that everybody gets their question answered. So even if I don't get to your question tonight during the live show, expect to hear back from me either through the comments or back to your email inbox one way or another. But everybody gets their questions answered here on Raymarine Live, so feel free to drop them into the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your opinions, and feedback on the show as well. Just for anybody who has not watched before, my name is Jim McGowan. I am actually the senior marketing manager for Raymarine in the Americas. I've been here for 24 years. My start with the company was in technical support, and I've done all sorts of things along the way. But this is definitely the pinnacle, hosting Raymarine Live. It's great to get to interact with all of you. So what's new for 2023? That's kind of the theme of our show tonight. We're going to look at some new products, talk a little bit about some news. So just to start with, you guys may not know it, but we actually moved. We were previously over in Nashua, New Hampshire. We moved across the river to Hudson, New Hampshire. So we're actually in a brand new building, brand new studio all around me. If you do a forensic analysis of the knots and the paneling behind me, you'll see it's actually a new wall. So compare it to a video from last season. Our lighting's probably a little bit different than before, so hopefully I don't look too much like a lobster. If I look strange, put it in the comments. I would love to hear about it. So what else is new in 2023? We have an all-new website. So if you have logged on to raymarine.com in the last few weeks, you probably noticed it's an entirely brand new platform. We are still in the process of loading that up with information. So if you find that something is missing that you're critically looking for, definitely let us know and we'll get that to the top of the priority list. But we got new stuff coming all the time to raymarine.com. One final thing about our show here, it is powered by you. It is powered by social media too. So if you like what we're doing here, please share our links, share our episodes with your boating friends and family. Spread the news through your social media. Talk to the guys on the dock around your boat. Let them know that we're doing this here on Raymarine Live. So also in 2023, we've been through the early boat show season. So you may have seen us in some of the very early shows. You may have seen us in Miami, Atlantic City, New York, Toronto. We still have a few more shows coming up. Palm Beach, Atlantic City, I think actually just finished out. But anyway, it's been a pretty busy season with lots of new things to talk about. So the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is Axiom 2 Pro, which is this guy right here. So Axiom 2 Pro is the second generation of our Axiom Pro product. It is a hybrid touch unit. So that means it has both touch controls and keypad button down the side. Now these Axiom 2 Pros, they come in 3 different sizes, 9, 12, and 16 inch. This is actually a 16 inch model. They share a lot of common features with their predecessors. And just for comparison purposes, I have an Axiom 12 Pro, and that is an Axiom 16, an Axiom 2 Pro 16 RVM next to it. But you can see they share similar design. If you are thinking about upgrading from one generation to another, know that they do have the same footprint, the same mounting pattern. The hole that you cut for one will fit the other. The bolt holes are in the same position as well. That said, what makes an Axiom 2 Pro different from the original Axiom Pro? So we have made some product improvements along the way. First off, these have 6-core processors in them. So you're going to find they are quicker all around. There's a little more horsepower in there. driving all of your charts and your radar and multitasking and that sort of thing. So 6-core processing in this product, as well as in Axiom XL2, which we'll talk about in a second. Another thing we have added to this product is something called HydroTough. HydroTough is a nano coating that's actually applied to the front glass. It's done at the factory. It is permanently bonded to the glass. And what it does is it resists oil and water. So think of it as a very, very high-tech formulation of something like a Rain-X, right? So when water hits this screen, it tends to just roll right off. So what that does for us is it helps with the touch responsiveness in wet weather. It minimizes false touching. It also makes the screen clean up very easily because it is not only water resistant, but oil resistant as well. Just a quick wipe with a microfiber, and you can get all the oil and fingerprints off of it very, very easily. And the nice thing about it, because it is bonded to the glass at the molecular level, it is super tough. It is not something that's going to wear out over time. It should just keep shedding water, shedding oil for the long haul. We originally brought the HydroTough coating out on our Axiom Plus series. So now it is available on Axiom 2 Pro, RVM, and also on the Axiom XL2, which are the bigger versions of these. Another thing we've got on this unit is swappable keypads. So in the corner here of the keyboard, kind of about midway down, there's a set of 4 buttons that are interchangeable. So on the traditional Axiom Pro, that is your autopilot control. It's got a back button, it's got a page key, and then there's one user programmable key. So what we've done this time around is we have made that section of the keypad changeable. And I'm going to bring up my little detail camera here to see if this is going to work. And just to show you what these keypads look like, here's the autopilot version. Nope, that's not the autopilot version. That's the autopilot version. And you can see it says pilot, standby. It has the power key, and then it has a single dot. The single dot is actually a programmable key, so you can select from a few different commonly used functions and assign it to that key. Pick the one that is your favorite. But what we thought would be kind of nice is on boats where maybe you have 2 Axiom Pros side by side, you don't necessarily need duplicate sets of autopilot controls. So this other keypad has 3 user programmable keys. So as you're setting up Axiom Pro for the first time, it's going to ask you which keypad you've got installed, and it'll configure the system accordingly, and it'll allow you to program your custom keys with either 1 custom option or 3 custom options. So it's just a little way that you can kind of make more of that keyboard layout, customize it to your boats. So there's a couple of other things on this unit that are kind of neat. It actually has HDMI output on it. So if you want to see your Axiom Pro 2 display somewhere else on board the boat, there is now a wired HDMI connection on the back. Now it is output only, so you can send the picture from this screen out to another monitor somewhere else. It does not have HDMI input on it. If you want that, you would go up to the Axiom XL product line, but it does have HDMI out. The other thing that HDMI out has on it is it actually has digital audio on it. So you may recall that in our LightHouse apps, we support Spotify and Netflix. So if you're watching a movie or listening to music, you could send audio over that HDMI cable to your TV monitor down below, to a stereo receiver, that sort of thing. Speaking of audio, it also has a left-right analog stereo audio output channel, and that's part of the power cable harness. So you'll find a red and a white kind of RCA style connector down there that can be connected up to your stereo unit on your boat or to an amplifier. And again, it takes the audio from those LightHouse apps like Netflix or Spotify, allows you to feed it into the boat stereo system very easily. So just a quick way that you can integrate it with your audio system on board. Let's pause for a second. Let's take a look at some of your questions, because that's what this is really all about. And I see the questions are coming in fast and furious, and that is fantastic. And bear with me a little bit. I'm actually flying solo tonight. I am controlling the entire broadcast from here with this mouse or this mouse or this mouse. So if I get a little bit discombobulated, just, I don't know, say something funny in the comments. So the first comment or question of the night, we're going to go to this one. I saw this before the broadcast started from Jason. Jason is interested in putting Clear Cruise AR on a sailboat with a thermal capable camera for ice detection. Where can I install the camera to have the best visibility since the sails may block the view? So very interesting question, Jason. So Clear Cruise AR, for those that don't know, is augmented reality. On our Axiom multifunction displays, when you have a camera, a module called an AR200, which is this guy right here, augmented reality sensor module, you can actually show tags on live video associated with AIS contacts, waypoints and routes, or navigation aids, things like buoys and markers and lights that are in the path of the vessel. So as you're kind of looking ahead, you'll see these little flags floating in space. They're stabilized. They move with the targets out in front of you, or they move with the motions of your boat. The picture is actually stabilized, and that's all done through the combination of the camera, the AR200 sensor, and Axiom. So to Jason's question, he wants to see ice, and he is on a sailboat. So as far as a thermal camera capable of detecting ice, pretty much any of the ones that we make will do it. The M232, this one right here over my shoulder, is a great choice for something like that. It's fairly small, compact. It is a pan tilt and zoom camera too, so you can look around with it. Another good choice would be our M364 or M364C. That's from the next tier up of thermal cameras, a little bit higher resolution. That is a stabilized camera system as well. It's a little bit bigger. So the challenge of putting it on your sailboat, where I have typically seen thermal cameras is usually kind of up near the spreaders on your mast. But I realize, if it's going to get blocked by your sails, it's not going to be very helpful. So I think your best bet is probably going to have it down at deck level somewhere. And that might be like right up on the bow of your boat. And I realize you have lots of other gear up there. You have, in addition to your windlass, you probably have furling sails and winches and all sorts of other stuff. So you might have to kind of pick a spot where there's a relatively clear view and not too much equipment that it's going to interfere with. But that might be your best bet because the thermal camera can't see through your sails. It will see the sails and it'll give you a nice picture of them, but it can't see through it. But hopefully that gives you some ideas. And if you need more information, and for that matter, I'll throw this up there. If anybody needs more information or they have a super in-depth question, one of the things I always encourage, you can email me. And there's my email address, james.mcgowan@raymarine.com. I'll put that up again before the end of the show. But if you need in-depth technical help or whatever, that's a good way to get hold of me as well. Back to the questions. Let's just pick another one here and see what we've got. The questions are about 8 feet away from me on a little tiny screen. Let's see. Boy, I can barely read these from here. Let me pop this one up here. We're going to go at random here. I can't quite read what it says. So Josh would like to know, will Axiom 2 Pro interface with Helm Master EX, i.e. autopilot, making tracks, marks, etc.? Josh, that's actually a great question. So Helm Master EX is Yamaha's advanced digital steering and control system. If you want to run Helm Master EX, you need to use our Axiom XL series hardware, so either XL or XL2. And the reason for that is Helm Master EX has, there's actually a special Yamaha interface that requires an HDMI input to be used on a Raymarine system. So the Axiom 2s only have HDMI out, so the HDMI goes in the wrong direction here. But Axiom XL screens, which are 16, 19, 22, or 24 inches, those will work with Helm Master EX. So let's take a look at some other new products. I'm just going to put this AR200 back behind me. So the next one I wanted to talk a little bit about was Axiom XL2. And I'll just kind of touch on it briefly. I don't have one here to show you, but imagine a giant-sized Axiom touchscreen display. This is an all-glass, all-touch product in 16, 19, 22, or 24-inch sizes. Like the Axiom Pro 2, the XL2 has also gone to 6-core processing, Hydro Tough coating on the front glass. Those units have HDMI in and out. So for Josh's previous question there, that would be the solution for Helm Master EX. Or if you're a multimedia type of person, you want to see a computer or a PC, or maybe you want to see, I don't know, a Blu-ray player or something like that on your Axiom from time to time. Axiom XL is the way to go for that. It has HDMI in and out. It has touchscreen in and out as well. So that means you can use an Axiom XL or XL2 to remotely touch control a device that is touch capable. So you could have a computer hidden somewhere on your boat, and you can actually use a touch interface to drive it. It works in the opposite direction too. So you could have a touch-enabled monitor somewhere else on your boat connected via HDMI to an Axiom XL, and you can remote control the Axiom XL via touch through that input channel. So it's a pretty flexible system. Big screens, designed for a super premium experience. And we'll probably do another show in the future and go more in depth on Axiom XL2. But you get the general idea. So another thing that is new in 2023 is something called RealVision Max sonar. And RealVision Max is basically a second generation of our RealVision 3D sonar. So what are some of the things that we have done in RealVision Max? We have boosted the power of its high frequency chirp channel. So it's up around 600 watts of output power. And it makes a nice 25-degree constant cone angle throughout the water column. So it's very, very good for targeting fish at depths all the way down to 1,200 feet now. It's got more power behind it. It has a bigger ceramic array, so it's got a little bit more sensitivity. The other thing RealVision Max does is it boosts the ping rate. So the ping rate is how many times per second the sonar pings audio into the water to generate an image. So think of it as every time it pings, it's taking a photo. And the more photos it takes per second, the higher the resolution is. So RealVision Max pings about 25% faster than the prior generation product. What does that do for it? It gives us a lot more detail. We also get a little bit greater range out of RealVision Max in the side vision and down vision channels when you are running through hull transducers. And I'll show you why in just a second. It's about 30% greater range. They also have much tighter beams on down vision and side vision, again, giving us more detail with through hull transducers. RealVision Max systems, they also support AirMar 1 kW broadband chirp. So you have both that 600 watt Raymarine transducer, plus you have another channel where you can add AirMar transducers of your choice. And those could be low, medium, or high frequency. You pick any two. 1 kilowatt of power with low frequency, for example, at 1 kW, you put a nice transducer on that. You could easily do 3,000, maybe a little more feet of water. So some awesome detection capability. You can really customize the system and have sort of a really nice all-around sonar. You have down vision, side vision, high frequency chirp for when you're kind of in coastal and inshore waters. And if you're offshore fishing, you have that 1 kW power to get you into the deep water. So RealVision Max is built in to these Axiom 2 Pro RVM units. RVM is RealVision Max. So that is the fishing-oriented version of Axiom 2 Pro. We also have a cruising-oriented version of Axiom 2 Pro, Axiom 2 Pro S. And that just has a basic high chirp sonar for depth finding, kind of a fish finder light in it. So you could do some basic fish finding, but nothing too extravagant. But it is really designed for cruising boats, whether they're power or sail. They want a very reliable depth sounder. They want to see bottom contour, see nice definition of the bottom, maybe get an idea of bottom density for anchoring and things like that. So Axiom Pro S is the solution there. And again, you can mix and match any combination of these two. So if you're building a boat and you want to have more than one screen, and if you are fishing oriented, maybe start out with one Axiom RVM to get the high capable sonar, and then every other screen could just be an Axiom Pro S, which they're a little difference in price, so you'll save a little bit of money on the repeater displays because through the network they share all that capability anyway. So RealVision Max comes in these Axiom 2 Pros. It also comes in a black box module as well. So if you're building an Axiom XL system, or if you have some other Axiom system and you want to take advantage of the new sonar technology, RVM 1600 is a black box sonar, kind of similar to this guy here. It'll have connections for RealVision Max transducers. It'll have the 1 kW AirMar channel on it, and you just plug it into the network, and that'll work with any Axiom as long as it's got its software updated, or Axiom XL, XL2, whatever you want to use. So let me take a look at some transducers. So bear with me one second. I have my little show and tell cart over here to the right, and I have a lot of different things to show you tonight. I'm going to actually start with this transducer. So I mentioned there are two versions of Axiom 2 Pro. So if you go with an Axiom 2 Pro S, S stands for sonar, and that is kind of the basic depth finder and kind of light duty fish finder, if you will. It works with something called a Raymarine CPT-S transducer. This is an example of one of them. This is a plastic through hull. It is a tilted element transducer. This happens to be a 0-degree offset, so it would be a straight up and down transducer. But we have them in 10 or 20-degree offsets, and we have them in plastic or bronze. So if you're building a sailboat or a cruising powerboat, needed a nice basic depth transducer, this might be a good option to use with an Axiom 2 Pro S or an Axiom Pro S for that matter. It will connect up to the transducer port on the back of that Axiom, actually using this guy here. This is an adapter cable. All of the Axiom Pros have a giant 25-pin transducer connector. This actually just drops the pins down to a smaller connector used with these CPTS, more basic transducers. So for cruising boats, you're going to be kind of going this route. These CPTS transducers come in through hulls. They come in hull. So if you want to transmit through the fiberglass, you can do that. And we also have a transamount version as well. I'll put this back over here. All right, now we're going to talk about RealVision Max fish finding transducers. So we have two flavors of those. We have a transamount, and let me bring this up on the detail camera. Hopefully this will focus for us. So this one is called an RVM 100, RVM for RealVision Max. And if you look closely at it, it may look a lot like an RV 100 from our RealVision 3D system. It is basically the same housing. The internals are a little bit different in it. It's got new ceramics inside. In particular, it has a large high-frequency chirp ceramic that is capable of taking that 600-watt output and creating that 25-degree constant beam. So it is different internally from an RVM 100, though on the outside they look about the same. Now, we also have RealVision Max transducers in a through hull. And let me get that one up here for you. This one is a bit heavy. I'll try not to drop it in the process. So this is what we call an RVM 400. So an RVM 400 is a stainless steel through hull transducer. We have three different varieties of this. We have it in a 0-degree transducer, and that would be designed to mount on the center line of a vessel or a vessel with a flat bottom. So the transducer is going to be sitting perfectly horizontal port to starboard, because this is an all-in-one. This has your down vision, your side vision, your 3D scan is in here. The high-frequency chirp with 600 watts is up here in the nose of it. It's also got a water temp sensor. But because there are so many beams coming out of this thing, it is required to get it in the proper orientation for it to work correctly. So this is a 0-degree version of it. We'd have this sitting flat, so the beams all point in the proper directions. We also have this in a pair of transducers with either 12 or 20 degrees of built-in dead rise compensation. So if you have a shallow V or a deep V boat, you would actually install two of these transducers, one on either side of your keel. One of them is going to support the port side, side scan and 3D, and the down vision. The other one is going to support the starboard side 3D, side vision, and the high frequency chirp. And then internally inside the boat, they get mated together with a Y cable, and then they plug into the back of your Axiom 2 Pro RVM or your RVM 1600. And the device sees it as a single transducer. It doesn't really know the difference. But the reason we do that is because when we start to put these on an angle and then we compensate them internally, we would get shadowing on whatever the inboard side of the transducer is if we tried to use an all-in-one transducer. So for example, if this thing is mounted on the port side of your boat's center line on an angle, the side vision to starboard wouldn't work very well because the bottom of the boat, the center line, the keel is in the way, creating a big shadow and blocking the signal. So that's why we put 2 of these transducers on. So this is an RVM 400, just to kind of give you its anatomy. Again, up front here in the widest part, this is where the 600 watt high frequency chirp element is, kind of in this round position here. And then running down the length of the transducer is an array of long cylindrical shaped ceramic elements. And those are what create the side vision, down vision, and then there's a couple of auxiliary arrays for 3D in here. But the length of these ceramics are actually what allow us to create the very, very fine beams in RealVision Max. And just for comparison purposes, this is an RVM 400. Get it in frame. This is an RV 200. So this is the prior through-hull transducer. And I just want to show you the difference physically in them. Now, this one does have a nose cone attached to it that this one would also normally have as well. So the nose cone is missing from this one. But if you go basically from stem to rotation bolt, you can see that the RVM 400 is about 3 inches longer than a comparable RV 200 transducer. So if you are thinking about upgrading, take a look at the bottom of your boat. You do want to make sure you have enough extra length to do it. It does require another hole drilled in the bottom for these anti-rotation bolts. The RV200 only had 1 anti-rotation bolt. RVM 400 has 2 because it is longer. We want to make sure that it doesn't twist around and break the seal and do anything like that underneath your boat. It wants to be nice and stable. But there's a comparison in the size of them. You'll notice that the distance from the stem to the anti-rotation bolt is the same. So if you have enough space for it, you just need to make another anti-rotation bolt hole, and it will fit the same. It's a 2.3 inch through hull that you drill there. So that is RVM 400 compared to an RV 200. Let me put these back on the show and tell cart. I got one more piece while I have the detail camera up that I just want to bring up. The dust off of here. I talked about HDMI output on the Axiom 2 Pro, and this is the cable accessory for that. I just wanted to show you, they are using a micro sized, will that go into focus? Not really, sort of. Anyway, it's a micro HDMI connector that we are running on the back of Axiom Pro. It is waterproof. It has a locking connector on it, so it does, permanently attach to the back of your Axiom, or it locks on there so it won't vibrate loose or fall out. And then it's a standard HDMI connector on the other end of it. And if you need to make it longer, you can, if you're not going too far, you can just add an extension. You add an HDMI coupler, and you could probably go another 10 or 12 feet probably. Or you could go to an active HDMI extension cable if you need to go really far. I'd say farther than, probably farther than 20, 25 feet. Probably go with something active that amplifies the signal. But this accessory is available for that HDMI. Again, it is a micro HDMI connector on the backside of it. All right, I think that's everything on the show and tell cart. So let's take a look at some more questions. And I see them still coming in here. I'm going to pop this one here from Tim Pearson. Will Axiom Pro work with the Yamaha Helmmaster XL? Will it use all of the Helmmaster functions? All right, I think Tim's question is actually kind of similar to the last one that I took. I think you actually were referring to Yamaha Helmmaster EX. Axiom Pro will not work with that. You'd want to go to Axiom XL or Axiom XL2 for Helmmaster EX. And let's see here. We'll scroll down a little bit. Let's pop this one here from Richard. Richard's in North Carolina. The LightHouse Chart North America Tide Station list is a subset of the tide stations per the NOAA station list, 22 NOAA stations versus 7 on the LightHouse list. Can the entire list of NOAA stations be in the next chart update? Let's see. Yes, that sounds like it should be the case. We do use NOAA tide stations to get all of our tide information on the LightHouse charts. So I will report that to our chart team and see what is going on there. But I would think that we should have all 22 stations. If there's 22 in your region, we should have 22 on the chart. So we'll find out what is going on with that. And I think I have your email address, Richard, too. So I'll get you an answer and I'll get in touch with you. Let's see. I'm just going to kind of pick another one at random here. Mike Kenny is replacing a C125 with an Axiom Plus. LightHouse 2 on the C125 did not store the date and time with track points. Does LightHouse 4 on Axiom Plus do this? On track points, I don't believe it does, Mike. Track points are basically like the breadcrumbs that the system drops behind it. It might store the date and the time that the track was activated, but it does not store the date and time for every single point along the way. It does that for waypoints. So if you actually physically mark a waypoint, you could actually set one of these programmable keys, for example, to be your waypoint dropper. But anytime you drop a waypoint, that is logged with date, time, and if you have the proper sensors, it'll even do like the depth and environmental information and other stuff with it as well. But I don't think it does that on the track points. And let's take another one here. I'm just kind of scrolling, and Wayne would like to know, my GPS keeps freezing up. I've updated the navigator. It's happened a few times. Sorry to hear that that's given you trouble, Wayne. If it is freezing up and it's been updated, I probably need to know a little bit more about which unit you have, but it might not be a bad course of action to try backing up your data and actually doing what we call a factory reset on the unit. What that will do is it will purge the unit's memory and set it back to its out-of-the-box defaults. It also goes into the back end of the unit's operating system where mere mortals can't go, and it'll actually kind of clear out some of the buffered information that it stores. It's possible there might be something in the buffer that is corrupt and causing it to freeze. If you want to shoot me an email, Wayne, let me know what unit you have. I can help you get that solved. And there's my email address, james.mcgowan@raymarine.com. Everybody scribble that down. If you have any questions, feel free to fire them my way. That's pretty much what I do all day on Friday after one of these shows. That's answer questions. Related to that too, just a little programming note. I know a lot of you are going to be watching this as a recorded video. And know that if you drop a comment in on whatever platform it is that you are watching this on, I get those comments sent to me too, and I try to answer all of them. So feel free, if you are watching this tomorrow, the next day, next week, or next year, drop your comments in. I do see them. I do try to answer them all. And of course, feel free to shoot me an email if that works better for you too. All right, I want to talk about one more new product, and it's out here on the desk, and you may or may not have noticed it. And it is a product called Cam 300. And Cam 300 is our new marine monitoring camera. It's actually this little guy here. And just for reference, I brought out the prior generation camera. This is called Cam 220. So you can see it's about 50% smaller all around. This thing is just a little bit bigger than a golf ball. So what makes it different from the cameras we have offered before, besides it being so tiny, it is an ultra wide angle camera. It actually has a 160-degree wide field of view. It is also a full high definition camera. So this is a 720 high def. This is a 1080p high def camera. So you're getting more pixels in the picture. It works great for augmented reality because it has that super wide field of view plus the 1080 high definition. It works really well as the forward looking camera in augmented reality because it has so much detail and so much coverage. This camera can be powered either from 12 volts. So there are power leads on it. You can just hook 12 volts to it and then switch it on, switch it off as you need it. Or it can be powered from power over Ethernet. That's actually how I am running it here. I have a PoE switch. It's basically an Ethernet network switch that puts out, I think it's 24 or 32 volts of power over the network. And any PoE devices can get their power right through their network cable. So I actually have both of these cameras running on PoE. Just so that you can kind of see the difference in the field of view, I'm actually going to bring these up, and bear with me a second because I have to change cameras in the broadcast. And this is the first time I've tried it this way. And it looks like it worked. All right. So we're actually looking at the output of this Axiom 2 Pro. And I'm going to bring up this video combo window. And what I've done is I've split the video screen vertically, and it's not a great picture. You're looking at the business end of my live stream studio. So you can see my monitors and my lights, and you can see my spare shirt in case I dump coffee on myself. But what I want you to notice is the difference in the field of view of the two cameras. So the Cam 300, the 160-degree wide angle is on the top. So notice you can see way out past my shirts, past the tripod that the detail camera is mounted on, almost to the door in the studio. There's actually a door right over here. And then going in the other direction, you can see kind of clear across the back of the studio. And also top to bottom, you're getting much more field of view. Where up here, it is a bit narrower. So I was messing around with this earlier, and I'm actually going to walk around the bench and in front of the cameras just so that as I pass through, you can really appreciate the difference in the field of view. The sound may go wonky because I'm not in front of the mic, but here I come. I'm walking around. You can just kind of see, even just the difference in the perspective of me. You can tell the difference between the wide angle and the narrow field of view of those two cameras. So hopefully as the weather improves here in New England, we'll get some time out on the water with this thing, and we'll get some Raymarine live sessions, perhaps from the boat, and be able to show you what these things look like for real and not in the studio and not with my fat self walking around in front of the camera. In any case, back to the studio view. So another thing that we have been showing at our early 2023 boat shows, starting in Miami, and in any of the shows since then, we have been previewing LightHouse 4.4. So LightHouse 4.4 is actually going to be coming out mid-month. Our beta testers have been working on it for quite a while now, and it's got some pretty cool new features in it. I'm actually going to bring the Axiom display back up so that I can show you some of the things that are in here. So let me change sources again. And let's just go back to the home screen. And let me get this to fill out correctly for you. There you go. So this is the home screen, and it may not look significantly different from what you have on your system now. Over the last several LightHouse 4 software updates, we've added a few new home screen capabilities that you may or may not have seen before. Most notably, you can see the background image in here. So in this case, we've got some fish, like an underwater scene. It is possible to customize that with your own image. You can actually drop a PNG or a JPEG onto a memory card, slide it into your Axiom, and through the settings menu right here, you would go to settings, you would go to this display, and down here, home screen background image, you could upload a custom file and put whatever picture you want, your dog, your kids, your boat. You can also change the splash screen, which is the first image that shows up when you power the unit on. And a lot of people like to make a custom splash screen, maybe that has the name of their boat or the logo of their fishing team or something like that. So same thing, you can make an image, upload it, and replace the splash screen that's in it. But the other thing that we have done now in version 4.4, which will be out within the next couple of weeks, mid-March was the target date for it, and we're getting really close to that. We have introduced something called mode-based icons. So as we're looking at the home screen now, this is what we call our classic icon set. So in classic icons, you can see I've got across the top there, chart, fish finder, radar, video, chart and fish finder, combinations of things. And these icons give me some basic idea of what I'm going to see when I select one of these items, but not necessarily the most detailed view of what I'm going to see. I set up this window before the broadcast, and because I think this really illustrates the benefit of mode-based icons. So you can see this set of 8 tiles. I've got radar, I've got down vision, side vision, 3D, high chirp, and then I have 4 different chart windows. And you might say, why in the world do you have 4 different full screens of chart? Well, these are actually all different versions of the chart. This one is my navigation chart. This one is my fishing chart. This one is chart with Sirius XM weather, and this is chart with Sirius XM fish mapping. But obviously in the classic icon set, you would never know that because they're all just called chart and they all just use the same blue icon. So coming soon to your Axiom and every Axiom out there, if you upgrade to version 4.4, right here we have home screen, and I'm going to go to mode-based icons. And I'm going to exit. And voila. So this is the new icon set that you can select. And this is where I think it really pays off, is down here. Notice those 4 blue chart tiles now actually tell me what kind of chart is on the other side of this icon when I touch it. So this is navigation. This one is fishing. This is chart in weather mode. And this is chart in Sirius XM fish mapping mode. You can see even up here too, we've kind of reskinned the icons, but you have a little bit more detail for down vision, side vision, 3D, high chirp, and there's icons for all the other functions on the system as well. So the mode-based icons, I'll be honest, when they first came out, I wasn't a big fan. I thought they looked kind of cartoonish, but they have really grown on me. I've been looking at them now for several months, and I have come to love them because of this right here, this row of chart icons. I'm the type of person, when I run my Axiom, I like to have different windows programmed for different tasks. And it used to bug me that I couldn't tell the difference between my chart windows without changing the names of them, which you can do. You can customize the name and call the icon whatever you want. But I think that this is just a much nicer presentation than this. Again, for the purposes of knowing fish mapping versus weather versus fishing mode versus chart mode. So some pretty cool things you can do there. Inside of LightHouse 4.4, there's a bunch of other things as well. A lot of them aren't particularly visual, so I'm just going to kind of run down what's in there, just to let you know what is coming. And with that, I'm actually going to bring it back to the studio camera while I am talking. Coming soon in this LightHouse 4.4, again, due around mid-March, just kind of the short list of things coming in here. If you are a sailor, and we have added 70 new polars to our polar plots that are built into Axiom. So with those 70 new polars, that now brings us to, I believe, over 400 different sailboat hulls are now in our database, built into LightHouse 4. So you can select your boat, get your polar profile built right in, and that is awesome for things like ley lines, for targets, for performance sailing. So some really cool stuff in there. And sorry, I'm trying to talk and click at the same time. It's not working. So let me just do this real quick so you can see me again, because I know you all really want to see me, my mug. Oh, sorry. All right. So we talked about polars. Another thing, if anybody has a Fisher Panda generator, we've actually added NMEA 2000 support for Fisher Panda generators. We already had some generator support in there. The Fisher Panda generators have some sentences that are kind of, I guess, unique to their installations, but that is now part of our system. Fishermen, listen up. Fishermen, if you have a chirp sonar, so for example, any Axiom Pro, any Axiom 2, maybe you have a CP470, CP570. We have changed the way that you can do frequency tuning on the system. So for example, if you know that, I don't know, I'm just making this up, but if you know that yellowfin tuna look best on your fish finder at 237 kilohertz, you can actually now go into your high frequency chirp and you can dial in exactly 237 kilohertz or whatever frequency you want. And the system will ping just on that frequency. It works through low, medium, and high band chirp. So you can do this discrete frequency tuning by number. In the past, we could do it, but the way that the UI worked, it would give you a percentage offset from whatever the center frequency of the channel was. You had to do a lot of math in your head, and I don't think anybody used it as a result. Now you can just pick your frequency, dial it right up, and the system will transmit on whatever frequency you want to see. And I know there are some species of fish that show up particularly well in certain frequency bands, so you can go get them with that. If you are a radar user on your Raymarine system and you use our ARPA target tracking, that is automatic radar plotting aid, they've actually increased the number of ARPA targets now to 100. So it jumped from 50 to 100 with LightHouse 4.4. We talked about mode-based icons, so those are coming as well in 4.4. If you are running a fish finder, and I'm just going to bring it up here, I think you'll be able to see it in the screen. This is going to be my high frequency chirp sonar coming. If you use the zoom control in your high frequency chirp, we used to split the screen probably maybe 20% to the zoom and 80% to the rest of the image. It is now a 50-50 split. That was a much requested feature from the fishing community. So you'll see this 50-50 split in zoom mode. Notice it has split my screen nicely in half for my zoomed up fish finder. So it makes it a little bit easier to see both the detail and the full screen image with that. And last but not least, and I think this is probably going to be the most exciting one. So if you have an autopilot, raise your hand. If you would like your autopilot to be able to follow a route and turn automatically from one waypoint to the next without any manual intervention, that is coming in LightHouse 4.4. It is called Auto Turn to Next Waypoint. It is probably the #1 or #2 most requested feature we have had in the autopilot category for almost as long as I have worked here. And it is now coming to LightHouse 4.4. So it'll be a selection that you can turn on. There are some parameters that you will set up for it, but it will enable the autopilot to steer a route without having to confirm every single waypoint and turn along the way. So I think a lot of people will probably be pretty happy about that. And if you don't want to use it, that's fine too. You can turn it off and run it the way it is. Some people like that. There's no problem there. But whichever way you like it, we can do both. All right, we're going to go back to the questions. I see we are slowly creeping up on the hour, so we will just fill the rest of our time with questions. So from Sailing Dracaries. Ooh, that's a cool avatar. I like that. Can the new units store more than 15 active tracks? The answer to that is no. That is something that is kind of part of the LightHouse operating system. So as far as capacity of waypoints, routes, and tracks, you can have up to 150,000 track points. And track points are the breadcrumbs. So like when you're just recording a line behind the boat when it's in motion. the 150,000 track points in total spread across 15 tracks, so 10,000 points per track. You can do some different things in the setup of your tracks to adjust the drop interval by time or by distance, or you can have it automatically manage it. There's also a feature in there now where you can have it automatically start a new track at the start of every calendar day. That was actually originally a first responder feature we put in for the Coast Guard, but a lot of customers that are recreational boaters like that as well. But at the moment, the number is still 15 active tracks in total. The track recorder does kind of an eat its own tail sort of thing. So every time it builds a track and it gets to 10,000 points in it, it will start a new track. And when it gets to the end of 15 tracks and 150,000 points, you're gonna get an alarm that it's full, and you're gonna have to delete something out of it. But 15 separate tracks can be saved. They can have individual names. So hopefully that answers your question. I apologize. It's probably not what you were hoping to hear, but that's how it is at the moment. Let's see what else we have here. From Scott, are we ever going to be able to use the wireless network in the Axiom? Any updates on the apps? Scott, all of our apps actually have been updated within the last month, probably. We are onto a new app. It is actually just called the Raymarine app. It is both in the Apple Store and in the Android Store. So definitely go and download that. They do have parity with one another. For a while, the Apple version of the app was a little bit ahead of where the Android one was, but they now, I think, are equal in their features and capabilities. That app can be used to link to the Wi-Fi in your Axiom for screen mirroring and remote control. So using like a tablet type device, you can touch control your Axiom. You can get at some of your basic data. If you have one of our YachtSense Link systems on there, you can do some digital switching. You can do some other functions as well. But the Raymarine app is the one to look for. It is out there for both Android and Apple. Another thing I'll share with you too, actually, somebody emailed me about this just a couple of weeks ago. They were running the Android version of the Raymarine app, and they were having a little bit of trouble getting their phone to stay connected to the Axiom when they're underway. There is a setting in Android when you go into your kind of your Wi-Fi network settings. What Android tries very, very hard to do is to find an active Wi-Fi connection that has internet access. And in most instances, when you're underway with your Axiom, there is no internet on that network. So Android phones, if that setting is turned on, they'll keep surfing. So they'll look. You'll connect it to the Raymarine Axiom network. The device will stay there for a little while, and when it determines that there's no internet, it'll surf and try to find another connection. So it'll disconnect and move on. You can turn that off in the Wi-Fi settings of your Android devices. So if you are having any trouble with that, definitely take a look. Let's just see what else we got in here. Donovan, is there an RVM transducer mount that works better for steel-hulled vessels? So RVM with a steel hull, you can use our stainless steel through hull transducer with that. It does come with isolation shims in the kit as well. But you can use steel transducer on a steel hull. That is legal. In the RVMs, all of the through hulls are stainless steel, and that's kind of why we settled on stainless steel, is because it is kind of a universal material. I know in some of the other transducers we offer bronze and plastic and stainless, and I think it was just probably in the long run more cost effective to consolidate everything into stainless steel because it can be used just about anywhere. So an RVM 400 should work for your application, but if you've got something different going on there, definitely drop me an email and I can help you pick something that will work on your application. Another thing I should mention too, just kind of related to all this RealVision Max transducer stuff too. If you already have RV100 or RV200, if you have one of the RealVision 3D transducers and you're considering going up to an Axiom 2 Pro, the new Axiom 2 Pro will work with the older style transducers. You do not have to change them out. You will not get all the benefits of RealVision Max running them on the prior generation transducers, but you will get some of the benefits. You'll benefit from the faster ping rate in particular, so you will get more detail. But the older transducers will work with the new hardware. It does not work the other way around. You can't put the new transducers on first gen Axiom Pros or RVX 1000, but you can use the new hardware with old transducers. We got time for a couple more questions. Let me just take a little scroll through the list here and click on one. This is actually kind of interesting because for whatever reason, I can't read the comments from the distance they're at. So I don't know what the question is when it comes up. Andrew would like to know, can I provide some detail on the Axiom 2 Pro LightHouse 4 and NEMA 2000 data from older Mercury outboards? Will this replace the need for Mercury vessel view? Actually, this is a great question, Andrew. Thank you for asking. So there is a feature in every Axiom display, provided you've updated your software along the way, and that is the Mercury Vessel View app on Axiom. It is an app that we co-developed with Mercury. It has been signed off by their quality assurance team as well as ours, and it is fully certified for use with Mercury motors. There is a piece of hardware that is required to be in the Mercury side of the network. It is called a SmartCraft Connect gateway. You can get it from your local Mercury dealer. It's just a little box, and basically it has a SmartCraft connector on one side of it, and you'll plug that into the Mercury engine network. And then it has a NEMA 2000 output on the other side, and that will plug into the Raymarine network. When that box is in place, that Mercury Vessel View app on Axiom comes to life, and it will report all of your vessel view data. You'll get all your engine parameters, RPMs, and boost pressure, and oil pressure, and temperatures, and it can do a lot of the diagnostic features. We are constantly adding stuff to it as well. There are a few joystick piloting functions that are still outstanding, but those will be coming in updates this spring. But it is a system that can fully replace Mercury Vessel View displays. That is the whole reason for it. But you do need that SmartCraft Connect gateway. And this is something that is confusing sometimes because there's a few different versions of Mercury gateways out there. We do need SmartCraft Connect. It is, if you look it up online, you'll see that it is specifically for Raymarine and for Garmin systems. So it allows third-party Chartplotters to play on the Mercury network, and it brings that app to life on those systems. So if you have a SmartCraft equipped boat, you should be able to use that adapter. There's actually 4 adapters in the Mercury parts system. There's 2 single engine versions of it, a twin engine, and then one for triples or quads. The 2 single engine versions, you basically have the option of having the SmartCraft Connect gateway live under the engine cowl or under the helm. So you would pick the one according to how many motors you have. It does need to be programmed by a Mercury dealer. So when you order it from the Mercury parts counter, they will probably ask you for your engine serial numbers, and they program it in, and then you're good to go. You can probably self-install it, or they can install it for you. The directions for it can be found online. It doesn't look terribly difficult, but that may be something you want to have your Mercury guy do when they're doing like your spring tune-ups. But SmartCraft Connect gateway is the key. We have details about it on Raymarine.com. It is on the Mercury site as well. And if you have any other questions about it too, certainly feel free to shoot me an email, james.mcgowan@raymarine.com. And I think we got time probably for one more question. So let me go back here to the comments. I see we're coming up on the hour. Let's see. I'm going to pull this long one here from Mary Beth. She had problems with our A125 freezing and had the screen replaced twice. No more replacement parts are available, so we purchased an Axiom Plus 12. I was assured that the screen was updated. The screen has frozen twice in 3 months that we have owned it. Any comments on this? Wow. So you definitely have some issues going on there, and I'm very sorry to hear that. So, Mary Beth, I'm going to ask you to shoot me an email with your contact information, and we'll get to the bottom of what's going on there. I would definitely like to see what software version is in your Axiom Plus. Get it up to the latest version just so that we have a nice baseline to start from. It would also be worthwhile, again, to do the factory reset on it. I can help you get through that. But if you could, please shoot me an email, and I will get the proper folks in touch, and we'll get that taken care of for you, because nobody wants their display freezing up or rebooting. They're not supposed to do that. So obviously something is wrong. We will get it fixed for you. So it looks like we are at the end of the hour. So I think we are going to stop there for tonight. I want to thank you all for tuning in and coming out to join us for our premiere episode of 2023. We do have more episodes coming. We're going to try to get these on a very regular cadence. If there's topics that you want to see in our Raymarine Live series, please shoot me an email or drop a comment on your favorite social media platform there. Let me know what topics are of interest to you. I am open to bringing in guests. If there's somebody you would like to hear from in our organization or somebody else in the industry too, I can work my best to try to get other people in here. If you're all about the nuts and bolts and you want to see more hands-on stuff, I'm open to doing that too. So let me know what type of topics you want to see, and I will find a way to make it happen. Just want to give a quick thank you to some of the folks behind the scenes that helped me put this on. It was a pretty big task to get our new studio set up here. So thanks to the crew here in our facilities team that helped me get this wall put up this week. 24 hours ago, 48 hours ago, there was nothing behind me. And then we also have a new guy in our support team named Kale. You may call in and get to talk to him. And it turns out in a prior life, he had some broadcast TV experience. So he helped me with the lighting and the sound and getting everything tweaked up. So hopefully it looks pretty good. I know I'm starting to turn red because it's really hot in here. But with that, we're going to end for tonight. Thank you for watching. And if you're watching this as a recorded broadcast, again, drop your comments in down below too. And please join us next time for our next episode of Raymarine Live. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.